I've been wanting to make this video ever since I started this channel, and the day is finally here. I'm talking about what is, in my opinion, the best Batman run ever, at least my favorite Batman run, and I will explain why. This run has been collected in many different versions, many editions have been published, single issues obviously. Then those were collected in trade paperbacks. There are deluxe editions, other versions, and obviously the big omnibus volume 1 that came out this year that started collecting this run in omnibus format, oversized format, while I'm well aware that the trade paperbacks here are standard format. Nevertheless, I will be focusing on reviewing those today, just because I want to focus on individual story arcs. So I will go by trade paperback, and I have a reading order here. I put that into Google Spreadsheets. I put the link to that spreadsheet in the description below, so if you want to check it out, click there, but I'll also have this up here on the screen. The story arcs or trade paperbacks that are highlighted in blue here are the ones I will review. I will skip over stuff like Night of the Monster Man, the Elmer Fudd special, and only briefly hit on stuff like the button or the price. And I'm aware that the story arcs are not necessarily tied to the trade paperbacks either. Some trade paperbacks collect multiple story arcs or just, again, one-offs, one-shots along with the story arc, but I figured that's the best way. I'm not going to dig out my single issues and review those here, so I figured trade paperbacks are the best way to go for this review. By all means, for reading his run, I'd probably prefer deluxe or omnibus versions as well. All of that said, this review is spoiler heavy. I'm not gonna reiterate what happens. I'm not gonna go through the plot. I want to focus on the meaning, what it means in the grander scheme of things, and why I do think this is the best Batman run ever. Maybe on par. If we want to argue that maybe it's not the best, maybe it's tied for the best with Jeff Loeb. So instead of reviewing the plot, I want to focus on what makes this run great. What are the things that Tom King focuses on, zooms in on, and defines within his run that I think stand out so much that they overshadow any potential issues that this run has. Because yes, there might be issues, but again, there are different things I focus on. I'll focus on what this run is about. It is about the relationship between Batman and Catwoman, between Bruce Wayne and Selina Kyle. I don't care if the Joker, the Riddler, or Poison Ivy are portrayed accurately. They're support cast here. Their purpose is to fill this world with life, make it a Batman story, but they are not this story. Batman and Catwoman are the story. And while Nightfall is about how Bane broke Batman's actual back, this is about how Bane broke Batman's mental back. I'll go deeper into what that means and how he did that in a second, but at a high level, Bane tries to make Batman happy. By trying to make Batman happy, he tries to make Bruce Wayne abandon the Batman persona. And he tries to do that first by using the Psycho Pirate, then by using Selina. And while he's trying to do that, we have Batman and Catwoman that are going through the pain of a relationship that is very difficult between two stubborn, toxic people that clearly are at odds with each other, but in love with each other. And this is a great love story about, again, a toxic relationship that the two partners in this, Bruce and Selina, emerge from stronger than they went into this. So both characters grow within this story, within this run. It defines their relationship, in my opinion, for the better. It defines who they are. It has both characters grow individually, and it has their relationship grow together. Things are being torn down just for them to emerge from those ashes, if you will. And going through such dark spots and low points in their lives doesn't actually mean that their relationship is at an end, but that they had to redefine each other, that there can be a future if there's hope and resiliency. They had to go through all that pain in order to heal themselves. And in a way, maybe Bane helped them to heal themselves, for them to find each other truly, to love each other, to love themselves, to hurt, to break, to grow out of those ashes, to become a better version. But let's dive in. Let's dive right into this run. And before I get started, let me say I'm going to focus on the main Batman run, on Batman by Tom King. I'm not going to talk about Batman Catwoman, that 12-issue Black Label maxi series that was written by Tom King after he finished this run, because again, first, it's not in continuity, supposedly, but also because if I did that, I would have to dig deeper into the Mask of the Phantasm as well. And with that, I think it'll be out of scope for this video. I don't want to make this a 1 or 2 hour video. So let's just focus on the Batman run that's in continuity, that starts with volume 1 here, I Am Gotham, collecting the first 6 issues along with the Rebirth one-shot, Batman Rebirth 1. In I Am Gotham, we are introduced to Gotham and Gotham Girl. They have powers that were never meant to last. Their powers have an expiration date. We have Hugo Strange and the Psycho Pirate. Overall, it's just a start into the run, nothing big, nothing dramatic. None of the events in here have too much of an effect on the main story Tom King is going to tell. Neither Bane nor Catwoman show up. The Psycho Pirate is just a tool that's being used. He'll be used later on as well. But it's setting up the story. We have Amanda Waller sending him to Gotham. And then we have Duke that also will not be used later on in his run. So we have a lot of throwaway characters here, which makes this story arc one of my least favorite. I give every story arc a score here. This one gets a 6.5 out of 10 from me, because while it's necessary to set some of the stuff up that probably could have been set up in one issue, all it is a teaser. We even see in the last pages of this epilogue that Bane is somehow involved, that he got his hands on the Psycho Pirate, that Batman needs the Psycho Pirate because, again, Hugo Strange and him have gone rogue, messing up Gotham and Gotham Girl. And so Batman goes, he initiates the contact, and we don't know yet that this is all an elaborate trap set by Bane. Now I'm going to jump over issues 7 and 8. Those belong to the Night of the Monster Man, another story arc that I care for too much. It's not part of Tom King's run. It's not a great arc either. So not relevant here. We're diving right into I Am Suicide Volume 2. We continue with issue 9 and are leaving Gotham. Batman goes to get the Psycho Pirate from Bane. A great introduction of Bane and Selina Kyle, both in the same issue. The run starts here. Tom King's run really picks up pace. Sure, you need to read I Am Gotham to understand why Batman and Selina get out of Arkham and go after Bane, but this is where the run basically starts with its core story. Batman sets out to cure Gotham Girl, and he needs Selina for that. Selina seemingly betrays Batman, but it's all part of the plan. A first glimpse here at Catwoman's role in this. Bruce trusts her fully, while being aware that their core values misalign. She's aware of that. Bruce is aware of that. So they go into this partnership with a basic understanding. The history of them that Jeff Loeb has established is still there. I love what issue 12 does here. Nothing but splash pages. Such gorgeous art and such a gorgeous concept to read this stuff physically, because let me tell you, reading splash pages digitally is just not as much fun. Bane hints at his plan to cure Batman, to make him happy so he doesn't have to be Batman anymore. So we already get the spoilers here unknowingly, because you'll not take him by his word necessarily at this point. But Tom King starts putting out those breadcrumbs early on. We get a first mention of Holly, a character from year 1 in the Rooftops issue. And then we have Batman and Catwoman start arguing about the back and forth between whether they met in the Golden Age or in year one. Was it the boat or was it the street? Again, a nice kind of theme here, a red thread throughout the entire run that gets a conclusion later on, but more when we get there. That is also planted here already. Bane's plan is teased, and we learn more about the Bat and the Cat. Great writing, 10 out of 10 for me. Just a great concept, seeding the points that he wants to hit later on in his run. Fantastic art, fantastic characters. In volume 3, I Am Bane, we have issues 16 through 20 and 23 and 24, along with the annual number 1. If you're reading those in the Rebirth Deluxe editions, there will be book 2 already. Book 2 also collects the next volume after that, volume 4. But what we're jumping over in this I Am Bane trade paperback here is the Button. The Button is a 4-issue arc that builds the bridge between Rebirth and Doomsday Clock. Not collected in here, so I'm gonna review it in a second separately. But talking about I Am Bane, which also is a great story arc, 9 out of 10 for me, we get more of the reasoning behind Bane and what he does about Batman's interference. In I Am Bane, we're including the Bat family now. 3 Robins, Dick, Jason, and Damian. Catwoman has become Batman's main partner, the one he trusts the most in the fight against Bane. The Cat even mocks Bane after distracting him for a day while Batman buys time to heal Gotham Girl. Bane then goes and assembles a team of villains to take revenge on Batman for taking the Psycho Pirate away from him, making Bane go back to Venom that he had been off prior and been happy with that. In the epilogue, issue 24, that defines this run, Gotham Girl discusses whether Batman is happy and what it takes for him to be happy. So we have her kind of as the soundboard here that Batman needs for us to learn more about what the main question of this run is. And already early on here we have Batman proposing to Catwoman. He confesses his love and proposes. This is the quintessence of Tom King's run, already established here early on, and the main theme throughout almost all issues. Annual 1 then is very good as well, a story about Ace and a slightly longer one about Alec, Swamp Thing, that were really about Bruce in the end. I teased it a little bit, the Button here, not connected too much other than we have a character later on returning. We have Thomas Wayne obviously showing up in the Button, who will later join Tom King's run that is introduced here, that him still being a thing or still being alive from Flashpoint is still continuity here, still in continuity as Rebirth. Didn't mean to reset anything. It leading up to what we'll see in Death Metal is the culmination of all things DC, that all things that happened are true. That's the main thing of Rebirth. We think it's a reboot, but all things lead to. All continuity is true in Death Metal, in Doomsday Clock, and also here Thomas Wayne's interaction with Bruce is short, but it's a necessary one, so relevant for Tom King's run later on when Bruce talks to Thomas in the last issues of City of Bane. But here he's being teased, and obviously double meaning, double impact for the Doomsday Clock lead up and Tom King's run as well. We're going to look at Volume 4, The War of Jokes and Riddles. I think most of the comments I've heard online is that this is one of their least favorite story arcs because it doesn't portray Joker and Riddler too well. It's a backflash story told by Bruce to Selina. He wants to make sure that she understands him fully, that she's aware of what he's done and what he's capable of, that he's not always good. him thinking that is necessary information for Selina to make her decision is so Bruce Wayne, so Batman, that she even makes fun of it later, telling Lois Lane that Bruce proposed but had that condition that she had to listen to him telling the story of the war of jokes and riddles and his involvement and his will to potentially kill the Riddler in this story arc, that the Joker saved him from killing Riddler. And all this just functions for Bruce, being completely open and vulnerable, while Selina is kind of not shrugging it off, but kind of making fun of him thinking that would be a concern to her. But to jump into that backflash, we're back at the end of year 1. Basically, this could replace year 2, or the long Halloween, if you will. Not happy with the continuity here, but we could also place it somewhere in between. I guess 1 year is a long time, so this can happen after the long Halloween, potentially. Both the Riddler and the Joker realize that they can't let the other kill Batman first, as the other would forever be unsatisfied. But the Joker shoots Nigma first, the war begins, so they're battling it out. Who's going to be allowed to kill Batman? A war that divides the villains into 2 camps. Other than later under Bane, when all come together, again Bane using the Psycho Pirate to bring all villains under his will. Here we have a city divided, Gotham divided by the Riddler and the Joker. A very sad mini arc here is the Ballad of Kite Man. He's pulled in by Batman and then played and attacked by the Joker and Riddler. So, and because of this tragic story and other costs that this war has, it costs a lot of lives. Many people die. And Bruce Wayne needs to make a decision. He lets both the Riddler and the Joker make their case and promises the winner $1 billion to defeat the other. He sides, in the end, he seemingly sides with the Riddler, helps breaking Joker's henchmen down until only Kite Man remains. That's such a depressing issue in which Kite Man's tragic fate is dissected. Anyways, the Riddler plays everyone just to make the Joker laugh. But the Joker doesn't laugh. He doesn't get the joke. So Batman gets so upset with the Riddler because the Riddler killed Kite Man's kid. Just tell a joke that Batman actually tries to kill the Riddler. Joker stops Batman, essentially saving Batman's morals, saving Bruce as a person. But what makes this story arc great is that when Bruce tells Selina, her response is what matters here. Essentially, it doesn't matter what Bruce would have done, it matters that he didn't. We are the product of our lives, and the why is sometimes not as important as the what. Batman is the product of his history. You cannot think about would have, could have, should haves, but you can only take what happened. Selina said, if I didn't grow up the way I did, I would have been a different person. So you would have been a different person if different things happened in your life. And whether you wanted to or not, in the end, you didn't kill the Riddler. So it's all good. It was many years ago. Selina basically dismisses Bruce's concerns, not in a bad way, but in a supportive way, in my opinion. An above average story that was made great by Selina's reaction to Bruce's confession. 8.5 out of 10 for me. Yes, in my scale, I'm allowed to use half scores. And so we continue in volume 5, also with a story that is like an 8 out of 10 to me, The Rules of Engagement. Batman and Catwoman venture to Kadim to get Holly. Selina makes it abundantly clear to Talia when they meet Talia there that she's aware of Batman's flaws, of his vow that he made as a 10-year-old kid to always come first before anyone else, for her to always be second. She's aware of his flaws and she accepts him anyways. But that doesn't matter because she loves him. She accepts his flaws. In the second story arc, we have the Super Friends Superman 2-issue arc. Great, funny story, lovely story where Clark Kent and Lois Lane go on this famous double date with the Bat and the Cat. phenomenal crossover here. And an annual two stories about their first kiss and the other about their last kiss, seemingly. Great stuff, and establishing that they are married to the end, that they have a daughter, Helena, and that they're in for the long haul. Volume 6, Bride or Burglar. A bunch of random smaller arcs. The first issue describes how someone can misunderstand who Bruce Wayne is if you don't know him. That kid who killed his parents wants to be like Bruce, not knowing that Bruce is also Batman. A tragic story based on this misinformation. So half-truths are dangerous, the message here. Then we go into Super Friends Wonder Woman arc, issues 39 and 40. It was okay, intense. Wonder Woman and Batman spent decades fighting the Horde, while on Earth only a few hours pass. Selina feels the pain that Bruce must be going through, not knowing that Earth's time works differently. It was alright, but it didn't fit too well into this run in general. The best arc of this trade paperback, I think, is Everyone Loves Ivy, issues 41 to 43. Fantastic art here by Michael Giannini. Great story about Poison Ivy going crazy, full-scale world domination because what the Riddler did to her. But then Bruce is able to resolve that it wasn't her who killed those henchmen. And Batman and Catwoman that were able to escape her control because of the antidote that Bruce administered. They snap her out of it. Issue 44, I love issue 44, one of my favorite single issues ever. An issue where you have to have both covers if you collect this run in single issues. Put them side by side. Great connected covers. Selina sneaks out to steal her own wedding dress, all while we get a medley of the cat and the bat over the years in comics. Great art again. That issue alone is a 10 out of 10. But because the first few issues in this trade paperback weren't so great, this volume gets an 8 out of 10 for me. Now a trade paperback here that isn't written by Tom King, the Prelude to the Wedding, collecting the 5 Prelude to the Wedding issues, featuring various characters. I'm not going to go through all of them. Overall, it felt very disconnected. Again, not written by Tom King. So the writing felt a little bit off here for me. Best part, probably DC Nation issues that are later collected in the wedding issue. So it's not that you need the Prelude to the Wedding for the DC Nation stuff. That's also in the Wedding Volume 7 trade paperback. But definitely the highlight of this one here. Kind of an interlude before we're heading towards the wedding. This one gets a 5 out of 10. Again, not technically part of Tom King's run. I don't know if the omnibus will collect it. I know the Rebirth Deluxe editions don't. But yeah, here an interlude if you want to read it all. Volume 7, The Wedding, issues 45 through 50. Obviously the big wedding issue, issue 50 here. The pinnacle of this arc. Starting off with The Gift, probably the funniest yet darkest story of all, about Booster Gold trying to gift Bruce Wayne the understanding that his life is great, kind of achieving the opposite. Absolute terrific, especially the final pages where Booster Gold tries to clean his glasses from the other Bruce Wayne's blood in front of our Batman. It was just insane. Yet it might have triggered Catwoman's thought process, intended to trigger Catwoman's thought process, her questioning whether the wedding is the right thing to do. Again, putting the seeds here, Bane using Booster Gold, using him messing it up, and Catwoman questioning what the world would be like if Batman was happy. Things go south in that world, but other than the other Bruce, her Bruce would actually care about it. So that's the difference here, but kicking off her thought process that later will be brought over the threshold by Holly's comments. So one thought-provoking event isn't enough for Selina and isn't enough for Bane to convince Selina to abandon the wedding, to leave. Bruce standing on the rooftop waiting for her. It's a culmination of things. It's Booster Gold, is the Joker, is Holly. It's all of those things that lead up to issue 50. We have a 2-issue mini arc, The Best Man, in which the Joker first confronts Batman, then in the next issue Catwoman, a very personal conversation about his motivation, and again nudging her further into questioning whether a wedding is the right thing to do. I really like those as well, especially the second issue where he talks to Catwoman and the Joker actually convincing Catwoman. We don't know it yet, but he convinces her here. If Batman is happy, he'll lose the frown, the cowl. There's no more Batman. Now Joker needs Batman. As without him, he could do whatever he wants and no one would stop him, and that's just not fun. Not fun at all to the Joker. And Selina gets it. She understands that Joker knows Batman that well, better than Bruce knows Batman. And so we're headed into this fatefully dreaded issue 50, the wedding issue, hated by many because of what it promised and what it actually was. Issue 50. Selina realizes it, at least she thinks she does. At this point, they're very early in their relationship. Again, maybe too early for the wedding, because what comes next, they have to go through some dark spots for them to grow and actually grow together and work on themselves. But at this point, they're not there yet. So Selina thinks she realizes that she has to sacrifice her love, her happiness for there to be a Batman, for Bruce not to abandon Batman. By making him happy, she thinks she figures out that if she was to go through with the wedding, she'd make Bruce happy, which in turn would kill Batman. She'd kill the only hope Gotham City has. Booster showed her, Joker showed her, Holly somewhat confirms it. Again, all controlled in the background by Bane. For her to be the hero, she has to make that sacrifice for the good of all people. She cannot marry Batman, not like this. On the final page, we see Bane and Holly reporting back to him. He hints at having broken the bed, this time mentally. So was Selina tricked by Bane, or does her theory have any substance? We'll find out later in this run. But first, my rating, 10 out of 10. I love this volume. I love the wedding issue. Obviously, in the moment, you were promised something else, but that's life. Sometimes life happens. And as long as Tom King got to finish his run in the end, I think it worked perfectly. The wedding isn't the main thing here. The relationship is. And for them to save that relationship, the wedding issue had to play out the way it did. From here on, Catwoman also gets her own run. The Catwoman 2018 issue 1 kicks off here, volume 1 by Joel Jones. Still ongoing run, kind of reset at some point, but the issue is still, that run is still on. Catwoman hasn't been cancelled. Joel Jones, Ram V, Tini Howard, and others have been writing Catwoman since. And we basically learn in that run, I'm not going to review that run here, I'm just going to mention that we learn that Selina moves out to Villahermosa in California and takes care of her sister Maggie over there while running into local crime syndicates and her taking care of that. But she's out of Gotham for now, and so we are left with Bruce. Bruce and his misery. Volume 8, Cold Days. From the wedding, we jump into Cold Days, issues 51, 52, 53. I love that arc. We skip some time and catch up on what happened since the wedding. Batman didn't take getting ditched at the altar too well and went nuts on Mr. Freeze, accusing and punishing him for a crime that he didn't do. When Bruce reflects on what he had done, he enters the jury stand and questions Batman's actions. He questions people trusting Batman blindly. They shouldn't, as Batman can be flawed as well. Here he knows Batman was wrong. Batman isn't God. He's still a man with flaws. And Bruce tries to save his own conscience by having Bruce convince the jury that yes, Batman has flaws And Mr. Freeze shouldn't be convicted by just what Batman said. That's the first stage of Bruce or Batman winning against Bane, as Bane planted Mr. Freeze here, and that plan didn't go as well. He intended for Batman to just roll over Mr. Freeze, but he didn't plan for Bruce growing a conscience here. He wanted, or not so quick and not doing what he's doing, but he wanted to break Bruce mentally even further by Bruce feeling guilt about what he's done. He did that, but I don't think Bane accounted for Bruce actually righting those wrongs in the jury stand. So the first action taken by Bruce here after his dark days, cold days, to work on his conscience, to work on becoming a better person. And to the reader, this arc gives us a different perspective. Many times before, Batman faced legal challenges. This time Bruce agrees. Bruce knows he messed up, but instead of Batman admitting it, he goes the official route because Batman doesn't want the backlash. Yet Bruce cares for the truth and the fate of Mr. Freeze, who is innocent here. By not convicting Freeze, the jury saves Batman's conscience. In issue 54, we move to the Better Man, a nice Dick Grayson interlude setting up the next issue, issue 55, the Beast of Burden story arc. Dick Grayson is shot by KG Beast. Again, this wasn't Tom King's idea, this was an editorial mandate. It came out of nowhere and got a bunch of Nightwing fans upset, but again, this is Bane working on destroying Batman in the background. He's taking Batman's support system apart piece by piece, so it fits right in. And it isn't the last member of the Batman family to fall either. Batman finds KG Beast but refuses to help him in exchange for telling him who hired him. That part perhaps a bit weird. Batman just went to punch him in the face. Because of that, this arc can't get a 10, but it's still a 9.5 nonetheless for me. Volume 9, The Tyrant Wing, a little bit shorter trade paperback here collecting issues 58 through 60, the Batman Secret Files 1 and Annual 3. Kicking things off with Bane being disappointed in the Penguin. The Penguin fumbled the Mr. Freeze setup and is told to take revenge on Bruce Wayne, who interfered with those plans. Again, I think at this point, Bane doesn't seem to know that Bruce Wayne is Batman. He knows later, I guess when Thomas comes into the picture, even though a backflash tells us that Thomas has been part of the picture for a longer time. But yeah, at this point, Bane doesn't seem to know. So Bane being upset at Bruce for rescuing the Batman in court, the Penguin is tasked with killing Alfred. But the Penguin tells Batman what Bane's plan is. Batman doesn't believe the Penguin at first, but then he does, but no one else believes him. It's a little bit of a back and forth here. This is great, a villain actually siding with Batman and Batman not believing him. And when he believes him, there's no evidence. But before Batman can figure things out, his father, Thomas Wayne, the Batman of the Flashpoint, appears. And before we get a conclusion to that cliffhanger, we have a bunch of other issues. Like, again, I can see how this is frustrating, collecting those in single issues, reading those month over month. I believe back then I waited for the trade paperback, but yes, there is a long wait. Not only in this issue, we don't get a conclusion. In the next trade paperback, neither. But in here we have Secret Files #1, a random, unimportant interlude, and Annual 3, a story by Tom Taylor about Alfred's perspective, and a Father's Day special. I'd be rating this higher without Secret Files #1, but it still gets an 8.5 from me. And then, as I mentioned, Volume 10, Knightmares, also doesn't address Thomas Wayne yet. We get what the title promises us. Bruce Wayne has nightmares after being infected by Scarecrow gas and kept sedated and imprisoned by Bane and Thomas Wayne, both trying to make Bruce stop being Batman. And this fits in to me. Like, I didn't hate those issues. I actually like them. It doesn't only fit because, yes, we see Thomas Wayne being revealed in Tyrant Wing arc, So it makes sense if he was defeated and captured, them using the gas on him and inducing those nightmares. But it also makes sense after the wedding issues and him going nuts on Mr. Freeze, that due to his conscience, he's having nightmares. It fits into the story. It makes sense. I think it might have been dragged out for a little bit too long. I think we had to wait for about a year or so for the actual story to continue, because there are a lot of nightmares. Each issue of the following Batman single issues is a nightmare story. So I can see how this is taking things out of a rhythm in single issues. In a trade paperback, though, I think it makes a ton of sense, as Batman's nightmares are about Bane trying to break the Batman. Again, there are 7 of them, so all somewhat connected. As Bruce finds a way out through his nightmares, he does so by focusing on Selina, narrowing in on the memory of her and using her as the North Star to get him out of this, being familiar also with the Scarecrow gas and knowing how to escape it. His greatest fear, greater than the gas, is his fear of not actually loving Selina. Oof, that's some deep stuff here. So he navigates his way out of those nightmares. In between, we get issues 64 and 65 that belong to the Price story arc. That's collected as part of the Heroes in Crisis, the Price and Other Stories trade paperback here. Also collects the Flash Annual 1 and some Green Arrow stories. For the purpose of reading Tom King's arc, I'm focusing on just Batman 64, The Flash 64, Batman 65, and The Flash 65 in this trade paperback here. I'll talk about that in a second, but that crossover event kind of interrupted the nightmares. In this trade paperback here, they're all collected together. 61 through 63, 66 through 69 make up volume 10. Get a score of 8 out of 10 from me. A very unique way to describe what's happening to Batman, showing him in his actual state of mind. The Price and Other Stories compendium, again, to Heroes in Crisis, where we get the crossover with The Flash. This is somewhat of an interlude of and reminder of what's happening with Gotham Girl receiving Venom from Bane, though we don't learn about that in this arc yet, who promised her that she'd be able to resurrect her dead brother. She follows Bane's instructions and acts like a villain would. Batman and the Flash fight her and save her life, but she lost all her memories. So kind of for Tom King run, again, not as relevant, but yet still relevant, because again, we get the hint that Bane is providing Venom to her Gotham Girl. Using that, it becomes relevant later on, but then for her memories, it is washed out. Similar to the Button, relevant to some extent, but unfortunately not collected in any of the other trade paperbacks. So we'll have to collect this one here. I hope when the omnibus comes around, this story arc is collected in there as well. Will probably be part of volume 3, I don't know. And the reminder that Gotham Girl has an expiration date. Her powers have an expiration date to begin with. 6.5 out of 10. Not as great, not horrible, but an interlude here. Before we head into resolving that cliffhanger that we were left with a while ago, what Thomas Wayne's involvement is. Volume 11, The Fall and the Fallen. In this reading order, we continue with issue 70, the beginning of The Fall and the Fallen. Batman breaks out, asks for help from his Bat family, but he's told he's crazy. Well, all until in an all-revealing issue 72, Thomas Wayne's monologue to Bane is paired with images of key moments of Tom King's run, summarizing how Bane broke the Batman, ending on the question how Thomas can help Bane. This implies that Bane planned it all, not Thomas, but Thomas is supporting him. The thought of Bane's elaborated plan raises some questions. Is Bane the smartest villain? But apart from that, I love the idea that Bane, after Nightfall, now breaks Batman's mind. So he kind of stays in character. Still, everyone else is in on that game. Even Alfred tells Bruce that he's defeated everyone except the only one that isn't there. The one that comes to his aid later. Selina Kyle is back. But before that, Thomas takes Bruce to the desert to revive Martha, to resurrect and rejoin the happy family that they used to be, I guess. Bruce's obsessive father helped Bane to break the Batman, to reach a low point for him to no longer be Batman, so he would rejoin the family, to be happy with his family, for his father to protect him. He's on Selina's side, but yet he isn't. So it's kind of weird. But all we see on the final page is a Batman emerging from the pit after a fight. Apparently, we don't know which one it is. Later we learn it was Thomas, and that Bruce had to go through some extra length to regain his strength back. Couldn't do it without help by Selina, but we'll get there. Secret Files 2, 5 short stories, the best of which is a riddle with the Riddler. Read it and comment the answer in the comment section below. Hint, the answer is 4 words. Love that issue because it makes you read it twice and kind of solve a riddle yourself. Overall, this trade paperback gets a 7.5 out of 10 from me. The reason it's only a 7.5 is that we knew the build-up already. All that this trade paperback does is explain things from Thomas Wayne's perspective and gives us a summary of all the events before the grand finale. It doesn't move the story forward. It reveals the cards that had been half revealed before already, but it is a segue into City of Bane. City of Bane is or was originally collected in volumes 12 and 13, 2 trade paperbacks, City of Bane Part 1 and City of Bane Part 2, though it was also collected in one big trade paperback, the complete City of Bane. That's the version I'll review here because that's the version I have. I could review it in single issues. I'll review it in this trade paperback instead and give it 1 score because it's one big story. Containing 12 issues, Batman 75 through 85, and then the annual 4. That is somewhat unrelated to that arc here, but nevertheless, 11 issues, City of Bane, 75 through 85. First, we jump into City of Bane with Joker and Riddler on police duty. Hugo Strange is the commissioner and Thomas Wayne is Batman. Clearly, Bane was successful in taking over Gotham. We don't see how yet, but that's the state that we are thrown into. We don't know yet that Joker is Clayface in disguise and that Bane used the Psycho Pirate to will all villains into obedience. We do learn that he reached out to Lex Luthor, President Lex Luthor, for all heroes to stay out of Gotham as he guarantees peace. The villains are obedient, therefore the citizens have nothing to fear-ish. At least there's no crime. Bane also has Alfred, so any member of the Bat family in Gotham to come to his aid would mean that Alfred dies. That's the promise he makes to keep them out. All other heroes are kept out by Lex. Damien ignores those orders though. He enters and gets beat by Thomas. Later we learn that was Alfred's plan of bringing Batman into the picture, of helping him and then sacrificing himself. So that's very sad arc, sad story there. Alfred tricking Bruce into sending Damien. Bane then kills Alfred as was expected by Alfred, but unknown to Bruce. There are real consequences here for disobeying Bane's orders, which is the message. The stakes are set and Bruce is planning his return, not knowing what happened to Alfred. In a fight, Bruce is then defeated by Thomas. He seeks help but is robbed and left for dead. Only Selina is there to help him. And that's what true loyalty, the true love is about, not the altar. It is this life or death situation. She coming to his aid regardless. Issues 4 and 5 hit differently. Cat and Bat get back together. In the grander counting of things, those are issues 78 and 79. One or two of my favorite issues ever. Batman and Catwoman, Bruce and Selina work through their past issues. They agree on how they move forward. They work through their shit. Like, they work on their relationship. They understand that they had to go through some real pain to understand who they are and what they want from each other, what they want from themselves, what they need, how they see each other. It's growth. It's growth for themselves and for their relationship. Heck, they even work through the boat and street argument here and resolve it. It's great. It's them working it out. It's one of the best 2-story arcs in this run, maybe ever. Issues 78, 79. Phenomenal stuff. Great writing. The conclusion to their relationship. And also the revelation that Bane didn't break Batman. Catwoman did. She was the only one who could break him, and it was her decision that did that, not Bane's. And with her being back, Bruce is able to heal. They heal themselves and emerge from all the hurt as a stronger version of themselves. That arc delivered the conclusion to what their relationship was leading up to. They had to redefine each other, for as there is hope and resiliency, there is a future. To resolve many of the other loose ends, we learn that Magpie was supplying Bane with the venom. Bruce and Selina stop Magpie, which pisses off Bane, and they return to Gotham, now reunited, stronger than ever. In Gotham, we start a game of he knows, I know, where Thomas gets captured by the Bat family, which was planned by Bruce, but then Thomas defeats them and misleads Bruce, and Bruce thinks his plan worked, but it didn't, running into the trap. He eventually faces Bane. Catwoman has the idea to trick him, but Batman is about to break Bane's back. Thomas interferes. Bane is defeated. In a coma, Thomas rules Gotham now. And we get a backflash of how Thomas' life panned out in his universe. His son Bruce was killed. Martha, traumatized, became their universe's Joker. Thomas became the Batman. Catwoman, his crime-fighting partner. Then Flashpoint. Thomas met Reverse Flash, made it to his universe. He hated to be Batman. Now his goal is to honor his vow and protect his son. That's that Batman's Achilles heel. To protect his son from becoming Batman, because he knows that's not a good spot to be in. He wants Bruce to marry Selina, as he knows his universe is Selina, and he wants her to be Bruce's partner, and for Bruce to put down the cowl. But Bruce has learned. He's a different person now. He has grown. He understands. Selina does too. She's changed. And they both know Bruce can be happy with Selina. He can be Batman and be married. And Bruce tells Thomas that he isn't his father. He doesn't know him, which he doesn't, because that's a different universe. Them having gone through different experience, making them different people. And we get the conclusion to that arc. Bruce knows best. Selina by his side. They are stronger than ever. Thomas is defeated. Gotham Girl gets some redemption here as well. And the story ends on an allegory told through the quarterback of the Gotham Knights. As long as there's hope, there's a way. And that, my friends, concludes this run. There's an annual 4 every day, a nice one-off. Overall, City of Bane gets a 10 out of 10 for me. Great finale to an amazing run by Tom King here. I hope this review, this interpretation was meaningful to you. It was my commentary, my review interpretation of Batman by Tom King. I can't wait for volumes 2 and 3 of the omnibus versions. to be released. They haven't been announced yet, but I'm sure they're gonna come at some point over the next 2-3 years, I would hope. Volume 1 has been released earlier this year, as I mentioned earlier. I love my trade paperbacks. I love to read this run in any version possible, as it is my all-time favorite Batman run, as I mentioned. A great definition of Bruce and Selina's relationship, and to show their growth together, defining them once and for all. Just a great conclusion to what Jeff Loeb started in The Long Halloween and Dark Victory. And to conclude this review, I want to end this video on a quote by Bruce Wayne. "Here's to the pain, here's to the misery. Where would we be without it?" This was Literature and Pictures. Thank you for watching.